Okay, so we're back. Let's go ahead and continue on with what we have. All right, so we've got Ethan running around and a camera following, and that's pretty cool. But we've got some stuff here. If we look over here in the hierarchy real quick, you'll notice that things are just named whatever. You know, third-person controller, multi-purpose camera rig, directional light, plane, and cube. Okay, well, let's change some stuff, because this could be any number of things. So I'm going to click on this, single click on it, and it gives me the chance to edit the name. So I'm going to name this, ground plane, because why not, right? All right, hit enter. So you can name it over here, or you can actually go over here to the inspector and name it as well. It's just as easy on either side. So this allows us to rename stuff and see what's going on. So it's easier. So see what each object is. So is this cube the cube that has the table, or is it the cube that is the spaceship? I don't know. That's why you can actually name them. And one of the nice things is we can go here and we can actually search as well. So if you have something that has a lot of objects in there and you need to find one specific one, you can actually start typing for it. So let's see, let's type ground. So you notice I start typing ground and it's showing that specific one. Cool. So we've got all that stuff and it works out pretty well. All right, we can also do that down here. We can search for stuff. It'll kind of limit it down and make our life generally a lot easier. All right. So let's continue on. One of the next things I want to show you here. This might be interesting if you made something in Maya. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop back here to the assets folder, the main one right here, and I'm going to drag in a texture. So this is a texture of something that I made in Maya. So I'm just going to seamless texture tile. This is going to be a table. I want you to marvel at my artistic skill. So it's important that you drag you import the textures first. Otherwise, it's going to take a little more work to get it done, and it's not going to be as satisfying. So currently the texture I have here is this. So I just drug it in there and it's cool. I'm going to bring in another file here. So I'm going to bring in a table. All right, so this is a table I made in Maya. All right, just marvel at its complexity. So literally the way you import it is you drag it in, just like the same way. Now this is going to take a little bit of time because it's actually opening a portion of Maya in the background to modify the file how it needs it. So it's going to take a few seconds for it to actually import. Cool, we've got it. All right, so it's in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally just drag it in. Doink. Marvel at my table. Cool. All right, so I'm going to hit play on here. I know it's amazing. Don't feel jealous. So if I walk up to it, you're going to notice that, oops, I can walk right through it, right? And jump through it. It's just there, right? Yeah. That's not cool. Let's fix that. All right, so first of all, I'm going to increase the size of my ground plane, and I'm going to move it over a little bit. So it's just something we can do. So first of all, I'm going to go to my ground plane here, click on that. I'm going to use the scaling tool here. I'm going to increase the size a little bit more. I'm going to select my table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the table in the hierarchy because I went the whole thing. All right. I'm going to use the move tool and I'm going to slide this to the side a little bit just so it's not right on the block there. All right. So this table is actually made up of 5 parts. So first part is the top here, this top surface, and then 4 of these cylinders here that make up the legs. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the arrow next to it, and you'll see that. So here's the P cube 1 and P cylinder 1 through 4. All right. So what we need to do is we need to go in here and make this solid. All right. So you'll notice I clicked on table and it highlights the whole thing, and beneath it are these each individual pieces. Well, unfortunately, you have to deal with the individual pieces because the top part is just kind of like a container for them all. All right. So, and you'll notice there, hey, there's Lambert too, right? Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a component to this cube, and this component is a very special thing that gives the object kind of a physical presence. All right, so I'm going to click the Add Component button. All right, in the Add Component here, you'll notice this thing popped up underneath. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to where it says Physics. So this is 3D Physics. So I'm going to click on that. And what I want is I'm going to find the box collider right here. So this is what I want, the box collider. So I'm going to click on it, and it's going to add it to our object, and it's actually going to shape it perfectly, which is really nice. So let me go ahead and hit play on here, and we're going to run into that real quick. So see, it stops me. If I hit crouch, though, I can still walk underneath it, and oops, hey, that's underneath the, we just went right through the thing, right? I'm not holding down crouch because Ethan is staying crouched because he don't want to hit his head. All right, so I walk out of there and he pops up. So let's fix legs. And this is actually pretty easy. So it's pretty close to the same thing that we did. I'm going to select them all though. So I'm going to click on the first one, hold down Shift, and click on the last one. All right, so that's selected all 4 of them. All right, so I'm going to go over here to Add Component, and I'm going to go to Physics. And, oh, hey, there's no cylinders. There's a capsule collider, but that's not what we want, because the capsule collider is like a cylinder, but it's got rounded ends, and that'll cause weird things to happen, and we don't want that. So our only other choice here is the mesh collider. So what it's going to do is it's going to make a collider, basically the thing that stops us, out of the shape of those legs. So I'm going to hit that right now. Hit Mesh Collider. Doink. And it is added to all 4 of those. And we can actually see that over here. See, it says Mesh Collider. So if I click on one of them, there's the Mesh Collider for this one. Here's the Mesh Collider for this one, and so on. All right, so I'm going to hit play real quick, and let's see that in action. All right, so I'm walking over here. The thing, tabletop stopping, I hold C to go down. And hey, look, I can walk a little bit forward and kind of run into that. Cool. So now it is all one object. Now, if you wanted to be sneaky and you didn't care about things getting underneath the table, we could have cut this down to 1 and gone up here to the cube. Instead of having the cylinders, we could have adjusted the collider. We can actually go in here, and if we get really close to it, I'm going to get underneath here, and I'm going to hit the Edit Collider button here. So you'll notice it changes into this, and we've got these little dots here. I could drag this down like this and keep everything out from underneath it as well. And sometimes that's all you need. You know, that's fine. Not in this case. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to undo that. Control Z. All right. Cool. That's actually how you import something from Maya. It's pretty easy, isn't it? Now, if you end up accidentally dragging in the model first, and then you put in the texture as well, you're gonna have to go in here to materials, and you'll need to find the materials that are in use on that, and you'll drag those on there. Cool. In this case, it's actually holding it. It's pretty nice. We don't have to deal with that. Okay. So we've created our picnic table. We've got a multi-purpose camera rig going on there. Let me show you the directional light here before we get too far away. So you notice the directional light, and it's just like Maya. It really doesn't matter the position, but also if we look here, you notice it's casting shadows. But if we look up here, hey, look, there's a day star. I'm not going to say a sun because maybe he's not in the same, solar system. as we are. Star system, right? So I'm going to click the rotate tool here and watch this. Hey, look at that. It's following along. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to kind of move my view here a little bit, and I'm going to drag this down, and I want you to watch this. You notice as we get closer to the horizon, hey, look at that. It's starting to have kind of a sunset-ish thing. This is actually kind of clean planet, so cool. So we have all that going on. Okay. So we've brought in a table. And I've shown you lighting on here for the directional light. We're going to come back and do some more lighting later. But I think that's a good stopping point for this moment. So we're going to come back for our next video. And we're going to do some more here. We're going to add some physics this time. All right, so let's take a break and we'll be right back.